Everybody's watching what's about to happen in Washington, D.C. as Democrats, Republicans, the White House try to hammer out a new stimulus package. Joining us now to discuss where we stand on those efforts is Senator Chuck Grassley, who is the committee chair of the Senate Finance Committee, along with Jessica Smith, our correspondent. Senator, always good to have you here. Where do we stand on this deal?
Well, within the last 15 minutes or a half hour, the rumors floating around the Hill, because I say rumor because I haven't talked directly to Leader McConnell on this point, but we were hoping to get a bill out for public comment on today, but it sounds to me like it's going to be Monday now. Now, what's the difference between today and tomorrow? Some negotiations, obviously, and I don't think they're negotiations very much about the things I'm involved with, because I haven't heard any dispute about what my suggestions are, and so I can't give you a reason, but it evidently is going to be Monday instead of today.
Senator Jessica Smith in Washington here. I had a question about unemployment insurance because we've seen a lot of different ideas tossed around over the past 24 hours. The latest we've heard is a 70% wage replacement is what Treasury Secretary Mnuchin is saying. How exactly is that going to work? Because doing a 100% wage replacement was really the big problem that led to the $600 flat rate last time around. So where does it stand with UI?
Well, part of it would be time to make sure that what we agree on in regard to your question is administrable in the 50 states. And that may be part of what's holding this up till Monday now, because of some comments that Mnuchin may have made on Squawk Box this morning. And I'm not aware of what he said, but that kind of slowed things up. And whether that's still slowing it up, I don't know. But let me suggest to you that it may take a period of a flat rate, rate like the $600 was a flat rate for a month or two before we get to the provisions that you're asking about. And then that period of time would be to the capability of the states to administer what we decide on. But for sure, we can't continue to have $600 for a few more months, because it is just making it practically impossible for business to get people back to work. And I've had at least 2 businesses this week tell me how difficult it is when people are getting paid more not to work than coming back to their job. And also during my 29 county visits that I had during the 2-week recess just completed, every one of those, it came up as an issue. So common sense tells you, it tells the American people, if you want people to go back to work, the government's an unfair competitor by paying them more not to work. Now, whether that's going to be $500, $400, $300, $200 for a while, those things are still being negotiated. So I can't give you a more definitive answer on what the final product's going to be.
I guess with these unemployment benefits set to expire, I mean, people are going to stop receiving them this week. And Speaker Pelosi is saying that she's not going to accept a piece-by-piece approach. What do you do when you're facing this cliff here?
Well, whatever we decide upon, there's not going to be any day between when they lapse and when we decide what we're going to do, and the checks are going to continue to go out. And for that interim period of time, people are still going to get their money.
Senator, it's Julie Hyman here. A lot of people, as we've talked about, maybe are making more right now than they were when they were working, so it's hard to entice people. A lot of people aren't, though. A lot of people are still making substantially less than they were before the coronavirus pandemic. So how do you protect those people?
Well, are you talking about people that are making $150,000 and laid off, and they may be getting less than $100,000 now through unemployment? Is that your question?
No, I think there's a big gap between that tranche of people you're talking about and the people who can't be enticed to go back to work because they're now making more. I mean, there's a middle ground there.
Well, are you making an argument that the government ought to pay people more not to work than to work? Is that your argument?
My argument is that the stimulus should continue to be robust enough to keep the economy going.
Well, the economy's never going to get going if you don't get workers back to work. And the policy we adopted in March is a disincentive for people to work. Only people working create wealth. Government doesn't create wealth. Government extends wealth. Then you got to get back to what's the principle of unemployment for the last 80 years. That principle is that you should help people while they're on unemployment for a period of time, but you shouldn't discourage people to go back to work. And it seems to me in a free market system, it's wrong to have people, the government, be an unfair competitor to business. And when those people, and besides, you probably know that there's several things that lead to quality of life, like let's say faith, family, community, but a quality job is very important. A good quality job is very important to the quality of life.
Senator, I think all of us agree with you that people want to work and need to be incentivized to work, but how do you get a job if the restaurant where you're going to go get that job just had to shut down again? Because we're seeing Texas relock, we're seeing California relock. And then if you're one of those people who can't get that job, how do you keep your kids fed if we don't do the stimulus we've been doing in the past?
Well, first of all, we're going to have to, in this bill, and I'm not sure exactly the consensus on doing this at this point, but my view is we're going to have to help some of those small businesses for a period of time, like we did through the PPP program.
All right, Senator Chuck Grassley, we appreciate your joining us because we know this is going to be a discussion for a long, long time. All the best to you, sir. We're going to be back after this.